Cloudcast Media.
Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show, amplifying the voices of social impact organizations, entrepreneurs, local nonprofits, and other community champions who shape the culture, creativity, and connectivity of San Diego. Brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union, bringing good things to San Diego for over 60 years. Learn more about what is good for you and good for all by visiting www.missionfed.com.
I'm Drew Schlosberg with Cloudcast Media. You're going to be listening to another edition of Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show. We are the nation's longest running community podcast in our 20th year, brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union. More than 60 years of doing great things for folks in San Diego County, whether it's food insecurity, whether it's Alzheimer's, doing things that focused on the arts, financial literacy. They are always involved in some key projects and key initiatives. Thrilled to have a return appearance for our friends from Poets Underground, Sonny Azzarito and Anthony Azzarito. They are co-owners of Poets Underground. Sonny and Anthony, how you doing?
So good. So happy to be back here. Thank you for letting us sneak in, pry our way through, and then entertain us this morning by being your guests.
Well, listen, it's a great content before, and we're even more now honored to have as my co-host in her fourth year of being a Spotlight on the Community co-host, Kristen Fogel. She is the executive director of San Diego Writers, Inc., and she's the one who introduced us initially and said, hey, we need to have a return appearance. How you doing, Kristen?
I'm doing well.
Why don't you get us started?
Yeah, let's do it. So I know your mission. I've worked with you all. But why don't you just start off by telling us your mission when you started, a little bit about that?
Who's going first?
Well, our mission is to create and foster healthy, inclusive communities through the arts, and it really encompasses what we do in every branch of our organization, whether it was jails, schools, mental health facilities, events, the open mic, wherever. If we're competing, if I'm competing in a poetry slam, whatever it is for Poets Underground, that's our mission. That's what we hope to achieve. If, even with our kids, it's the same all around. And we make it pretty broad so that we can include everybody in what we do.
Nice.
Yeah, two questions for you. First of all, well stated on that. Why did you choose that as a mission? Was there an epiphany in both of your lives that said, okay, we need to do something this? And why poetry is the vehicle?
Okay, so yeah, Anthony and I, we are married. We're a blended family. We have 5 kids. We're a family of 7. But we came into this world with similar broken themes. And I myself was born into homelessness and navigated the foster care system, was on my own at 16, and had a lot of wraparound services and was able to pull from that in which worked and that which was non-existent. And then Anthony and his similar trauma just growing up through the military and adversity within family. Both of us on our own had crawled our way into finding poetry as just the broken way in which somebody naturally can express what's happening with trauma, right? Like it kind of comes in fractions anyway, and that's how it works as you're processing it through. It comes in broken sentences and memories, etc. And so as you start to jot that down, you're just naturally speaking the language of poetry. And we wanted to go back and time travel a bit into those stages and ages that we were, that poetry wasn't actively introduced to us or facilitated in a way that would have been really helpful to be seen and affirmed in earlier on. So that's our mission now.
Yeah, Kristen, this is your wheelhouse to say the least. So talk about their direction with poetry, the Poets Underground, and what they're doing.
You want me to talk about it?
I love it, yes.
Yeah. Don't you run a thing called San Diego Writers, Inc.?
Yeah, but I don't run their organization. So,
Writing
what they do is incredible, though. And I'm kind of surprised. I feel like you guys have been around a lot longer than since 2019. I don't know. I feel like it's been a long time. Maybe can you talk about, you were in that great space that I can't recall the name of in downtown, and how it kind of, where you guys have gone since, because you've done so much.
Yeah, and it might feel like we've had more of a presence prior to 2019 because my first book was with Garden Oak Press 10 years prior to that. But I was working in social work. Anthony was still serving in the military. He's a 10-year Army vet now. And then we intentionally moved forward into merging those worlds. He just graduated with his psych degree, so
That's
excited
right.
for him.
Congratulations. Thank you.
And then once I got out of social work, we wanted to figure out how to merge the worlds of our publications, our personal publications, into a community that we were developing with the skills that we had to bring in and to be of good service. So, but yeah, we started off 2019. We got a spot in the East Village to have an open mic.
Amplified. That's what it's called. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, and then it turned into Mod Bomb, and then it turned into nothing because
no.
it was so hard to pivot back after COVID. But yeah, early on we had like a really robust and good community. We always had people just like lined up outside of the speakeasy to come onto the mic. And the one thing that we wanted to do different than other open mics was to have feedback after every single person. So we would be literally shutting down this bar until 2:00 in the morning, even if we had like only 15 poets go on, because we spent as much time as they spent sharing on the mic, reflecting back to them what we heard and making sure that we heard them correctly, and the parts that they really needed us to understand that was understood and celebrated within the community. And it just picked up really quickly. And so we would have nearly sleepovers in that space.
And that came the foundation of the Poetry Heals curriculum now, what we bring into schools, so that what Sunny fostered in the open mic space, we cultivated and made it our own way to bring how to heal through the art of poetry in the schools, jails, mental health facilities, all that again, and just replicated what we would want an open mic scene to anybody that needs healing, anybody that needs to be heard, because sometimes we don't all want to go to an open mic. Some people just need to hear and want to be heard in different ways, and that's what we bring to the other atmospheres.
Yeah, so the curriculum is somewhat important to me since I own a curriculum business. You talk about, is it geared for a certain grade or is it K-12? Talk about that.
Yeah, so what Anthony and I are really good at, and I have no problem bragging on it, is our ability to be really creative and tailor make what any community needs us to be, because we have a niche for imagining how to serve that particular individual and then to create a curriculum that is going to best serve them. So what we're going to provide to Justice Impacted when we're working in jails is completely different than obviously what we're going to do with a second grader, right? But because we've had trauma and fragmented pieces that lay in so many stages of our own past, we have a good ability of being able to go back into that time and recreate what we wish existed in that era.
Do you work at the juvenile court schools?
We do.
JCCS?
We have in the past, yeah.
Okay, yeah. I mean, that seems like I'm perfectly up your wheelhouse.
Yeah.
If you need even a bigger in, he's really close to us at Classroom of the Future Foundation. He's the assistant superintendent, Joseph Clevenger, who's just an amazing guy. And so let us know if we can open the door in that area. And you mentioned, did you work with the military as well, you were saying? In what aspect of that, Anthony?
So we had a workshop that we had with Miramar. Yeah, Miramar College, and we just brought in some veterans that signed up and just talking about PTSD, talking about depression, talking about anxiety, just getting that out and talking about their experiences that they've been through. And we learned to write poetry through that, and it was a very organized and well.
It was really well received.
It's just really well received, I think. Yeah,
well, I was impressed. I mean, especially because with everybody's gamut of ages and experiences, even though you have like the similar experience of like being in the military, everyone's approach to that, even just being 5 years within each other, might have a completely different experience for how they were received, especially when it comes to mental health, right? So bringing everybody into the same line of equality with that, and creating a space where that was celebrated, I thought was going to be more of a hurdle than it was, but it really seems to like level the playing field once you start out the room with the authenticity of poetry and share yourself. It seems to just like soften the hearts equally and bring them all to the table.
I don't know, Drew, if you know that the military really isn't big on emotions.
I do know that because my son-in-law is an Army veteran. And,
they didn't really teach us, how to...
my daughter's teaching him, by the way. So
that's
Sonny.
Right, exactly.
So,
and I learned, and I had a hard time coming out of the military, and now what we really need is having somebody there, us, to provide something for the individuals coming out of the military to transition in a more direct and softer way with poetry, with expressing themselves, because we back in the infantry, we just got yelled at.
No, listen, I'm gonna have to have my new son-in-law chat with you about it. When we come back from break, Kristen has a whole bunch of questions for you folks on partnership publishing and the curriculum. There's a book we're going to talk about as well when we return with Sonny and Anthony Azzarito. They are co-owners of Poets Underground. I'm Drew Schlosberg of Cloudcast Media, listening to another edition of Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show, brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union. 60 years doing great things for people living in San Diego County. We'll be right back after this very short break.
When you do your banking with Mission Fed, you get great rates on auto and home loans. That's good for you, but something good also happens for a lot of other people. We're not for profit, so we put money back into the community to help lots of great nonprofits to keep San Diego strong. So you're not just getting something good, you're doing something good. Come to Mission Fed. It's banking that's good for all.
Brand amplification is the DNA of Cloudcast Media, and our code is the powerful blending of sound, voice, and storytelling to lift local brands and their communities. Whether it is our Brandcast, Schoolcast, or Causecast platforms, the unifying ethos is all about this community, the one you call home. If you dare to dream and want to explore the brand amplification of Cloudcast, a national leader in local podcasting and other Winfluence strategies, please visit us at cloudcast.us.
I'm Drew Schlosberg of Cloudcast Media, listening to another edition of Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show, the nation's longest running community podcast in our 20th year, brought to you by the fine folks at Mission Fed Credit Union. More than 60 years of doing great things in the community. So pleased to have a return appearance from our friends from Poets Underground, Sonny and Anthony Azzarito. They are co-owners, joined by my co-host in her 4th year, Kristen Fogel. She is the executive director of San Diego Writers Inc. Kristen.
Yeah, I can't believe it's been 4 years.
That's great. I've enjoyed it.
Yeah, I've enjoyed it. Yeah. I have so many questions. So maybe you could talk about first, you did this poetry slam in Chula Vista, which was kind of cool and new and interesting. So maybe one of you can touch on that.
I mean, we can both.
Such a cool idea.
Yeah, we don't have an hour or two to talk about that, but it was such an amazing event. It was the CV Slam Fest over in Chula Vista, where we brought in Eli from Living Legends. It's a local and underground hip hop group that I'm also doing a spoken word album with. That was like an opener with us. He's like a partner now with Poets Underground. Been a very awesome friend too. And then we brought in the poetry slam aspect, where there was locals that we had veterans and then rookies. Like those are the 3 categories. Mm-hmm. And then we also brought High Tech High Chula Vista to come in, that we just finished the Poetry Heals program with, and they got to present their poems, and it was an amazing event. We had vendors, we had food trucks or food tents. And I forgot they didn't allow the food trucks, but
tents, trucks, whatever. There was food there.
Yeah, exactly.
That was from the Chula Vista PVAG grant, and that was a really good example of like being able to get like a sum of money, but then going to the city and because, you know, we live in North County, but infiltrating over into South Bay and really getting to know that community and figuring out what is the niche and need that would best serve them. So we spent like 6 months doing their farmers market, meeting with the mayor, you know, partnering with one of their local schools, making sure that we were representing the city best and being good stewards of that grant. So that was really fun. And I just, we're so grateful for open-ended grants like that give you the ability to be creative and fully serve and also just like partner on a broader level without having a lot of red tape. So thank you, Chula Vista. Thank you, Irwin, for that.
Yeah. And just giving the kids a space to have more of a voice.
Yeah.
And just seeing them, you know, we had an 8 to 10 week program with them, and to see them grow up and their confidence was just probably the best thing that we got out of that.
Totally.
Yeah. I think the other thing I want to touch on real quick is just the airport residency, because I think it's super cool.
Right?
Yeah.
So random. It may be the first time we came out here that would have been our rejected season, because we had been wanting that particular grant for a while, and we've finally got it. So I think we had like the vision that worked, but it was called the Great Poetic Baggage Exchange. And for all of spring, we spent 3 months in Terminal 2 harassing and badgering
I remember talking about this.
passengers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we were talking to who? The circus, San Diego Circus.
It was First Street
They
Circus.
they did
Yeah.
something cool in
That's right.
in the Terminal 2 with the same sort of
That's right. That's
program.
Right. That's right. They
but-
were been doing clown stuff.
Yeah.
They were.
Yeah, it was awesome.
That's right. That's right.
So
Yeah.
it actually gave us a good launching pad to play with the idea of doing improv poetry, which Anthony and I like naturally do anyway. But we got to do it in just like this formal setting. So passengers would give Anthony a word, and he would turn it into a spoken word piece on the
Cool.
spot.
Wow.
And if they gave me the word and wanted to keep something forever to memorialize the moment, I would type it out on typewriter. Mine was, I think, the less braver of the two options, right? Because I would say, okay, give me 5 minutes, and then I could ponder, pray, and figure out what it was that I wanted to say. And with Anthony's, I mean, I literally just die watching him do the whole thing, because they'll give him a word,
Yeah.
and then he'll just begin doing a poem in front of them and creating it on the spot. So, but it was thrilling and exciting, challenging, and again, just such a great representation of San Diego and how they just like really band together to create these cool art partnerships and affirm artists and make sure that this is how San Diego is represented to travelers, like upon like touchdown in our city. And it was really nice to be able to like represent the city that we love so much by being that first experience for so many people.
That's great, Kristen.
Yeah, that's so cool. Talk a little bit about this partnership publishing thing you have going on.
Well, we are so blessed to have that opportunity part and branch of Poets Underground. And I said that because the last partnership that we had came from, we started a symposium up in Oakland.
A
Alameda
place.
County.
Yeah. Okay.
And somebody that came in and sat in on one of our workshops ended up publishing with us. And it turned into the most incredible publishing since we've, had Poets Underground LLC. And because the content was so, it was in line with our vision. It was in line with our past. The woman was so like for us, and like she already had a emblem that was a coffin and a part from a raven, and then she saw our poster in that, and she's like, that's my sign. And at that symposium, we published her after that, and it was such a rewarding experience because it was very personal to her, because she just lost a family member, and that book had to come out, for her, and we got to be in that journey with her. And so the partnership publishing aspect is so crucial, because what it is, it's not just that genuine or the the regular type of publishing where they have to submit, like we are doing it with them, and then they have all the rights afterwards.
Okay.
Which this concept isn't new. This came
Yeah.
from Garden Oak Press with
Yeah.
Bill Harding,
Yeah.
and who published me.
Right.
And when we had to pivot from our in-person space from 2019 because of COVID onto an online platform with Bill Harding's blessing and help, and
We love you, Bill.
I know, no, truly,
Yeah, he's amazing.
truly. He assisted in having Poets Underground have our first anthology within our community. And it was a partnership with Garden Oak Press and Poets Underground. And so through that concept that Bill birthed, we're now able to keep that mission going because it's so ethical, right? Like it's the idea that you're going to own all of your work as an artist at the end of it, and that we're just going to steward your vision and get you there.
Yeah.
And it's so thrilling to be able to do that. I think a lot of hangups for artists is that you can write your book and that just takes so much out of you, but to have to do the extra step to become the professional editor or formatter or figure out the marketing, it just took so much out of you to be able to even give the win to the project itself, but to be able to have to do the end of it or to even have the nerve to do it. It helps so much to have somebody just keep affirming your professionalism throughout and get the book done. So that's what the partnership publishing is. You come in, you pay a one-time fee for the service of the editing, formatting, and getting it published through the LLC. And then everything that you make from that moment on, 100% goes to you for the rest of your life. So
now that's a pretty cool deal there. We're chatting with our friends from Poets Underground, Sonny and Anthony Azzarito. They are co-owners. I'm Drew Schlosberg with Cloudcast Media, listening to another edition of Drew Schlosberg's Spotlight on the Community Show, brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union, joined by my co-host, Kristen Fogel, Executive Director of San Diego Writers, Inc. And I just love about your whole vibe, no matter what you're talking about, whether it's the publishing, whether the symposium, whether it's working with folks incarcerated, is all about inclusivity. We are all in this together.
Yes.
We're going to be hearing from another group right after you, the Burnham Center for Community Advancement, that is absolutely their moniker as well in so many different facets. Heaven forbid we actually try to row in the same direction. What a shock that is. And can you talk about, is that a new book you have there?
yeah, so along with Bill Harding publishing my first book, it was Quotes and Poems by a Nobody. But Precious Onward, once we started Poets Underground, we met together and came up with like a list of things of how we could partner together moving forward. And one of those beautiful ways, just to back up a second, was we lost a really important poet in the community this last year, Jim Marino, and with him left deficits and voids in very crucial communities throughout San Diego, including Justice Impacted and our friends on the reservations. And so Bill had approached us to take over some of those visions and missions and make sure that they continue on. And with that, blessed me off to be able to have my first book recreated under our publishing, Poets Underground. So this is the revival of that first book years and years ago. This is the picture that I had on the back cover, and it was so interesting to be able to go back and read this book that took 17 years throughout my teenage years and into my early 20s that I wrote it. And I really went back and forth about making sure that how I felt about that person now, because now when I meet people, I meet them at like a representative standpoint, and in a maturity that's different than a lot of the vulgarity that existed in this coming of age book. But what I ultimately decided in the re-release of it and wanting to stand alongside this younger version of myself is to be able to show I stand with her, and this is more like the resilient story. And even though the voice has changed and the angstiness is subsided a bit, that it's just a good way to continue to relate. Yeah, because I really did. I wrestled with it a little bit coming back out. Yeah, I said to Anthony, I was like, how can we go to churches or to the city and people that were asking to fund us, and then have my old poetry book out on the table that it seems so far from who I was and who I'm wanting to represent and be taken serious today. And the reality and the truth of it is that this girl went through so much to become the person who's sharing the book today. So it took a lot of rediscovery.
A lot of courage and stuff like that. We got about 2 minutes to go, but I want Anthony to talk about the RV.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, please do. Tell the story of the RV really
please.
quick.
Okay.
And not your Italian version. We have 2 minutes.
Okay. So I was competing in a poetry slam festival in New Mexico, on the Chikara Poetry Slam Festival, and Sonny had me to prepare for that, just random things to do, prepare or perform on a street corner, random people on a train, at an open mic. So we went to this random open mic, and I performed my set, and then some ladies afterwards wanted to talk about us or talk about Poets Underground, and they were like, "We love your mission," blah blah blah. And that led to the partnership of just talking afterwards, after the festival. And she's like, "You know what?" And we of course told her the big vision about the RV. She's like, "You know what? I do know of somebody that has an RV." And we're like, "What?" She's like, "Yeah, let me get you in contact with this person." And sure enough, we connected, and he was the organizer, like the CEO of his organization. And it's like, "Yeah, we're gonna gift you guys an RV." And we're like what? Yeah. And he's like, I've read up on you guys, I've done my research, and I talked to, the community, and we really want to gift this to you. And the big thing is it's in Missouri, so we're trying to find ways.
Good luck, Godspeed. Yeah.
Is it out here in the parking lot?
Not yet,
but
that's why we're here. We're here to fundraise for this RV to come back to San Diego. Yes, so amazing! It's like an almost $200,000 RV.
Oh my gosh,
you guys! We have been begging for the funds for this. We have like so many YouTubes for so many different grants. Prebis, everybody pushing this idea of having our brick and mortar. And by the way, the RV, the vision for it, it's already been gutted, the one that we're being gifted. So like that's already so much funding out of the way. Yeah. But the bathroom will be a recording studio, sound space for spoken word and podcasts. And then we'll have a workshop space for students to come on and do their poetry, and then a publishing press workable in the back of the RV. So we'll bring this out to encampments and nationwide, because we have contracts everywhere where we've been performing, so that we could justify why we needed an RV, et cetera, et cetera.
But Sonny and Anthony are expected to be in our parking lot here at Mission Fed.
That would be so fun.
Consider that a done deal. Always great to talk to you folks. Sonny and Anthony Azzarito, they are the co-founders of Poets Underground. What's the website where people can help donate to get this RV out here?
PoetsUndergroundPress.com.
Poets Underground. Always a pleasure chatting with you. The content you provide is terrific. Obviously, this will not be the last time you folks will be on, and wishing you nothing but great success with working with the populations you are, with that RV, with the curriculum, and you folks are an absolute delight, and we love having you on.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you, Kristen.
You're welcome.
I'm Drew Schlosberg of Cloudcast Media. You've been listening to another edition of Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show, nation's longest running community podcast. Brought to you by the amazing folks at Mission Fed Credit Union, 60 years of doing great things in the community. To our audience, we hope you enjoyed the interview.
You've been listening to an episode of Drew Schlosberg's Spotlight on the Community Show, amplifying the voices of social impact organizations, entrepreneurs, local nonprofits, and other community champions who shape the culture, creativity, and connectivity of San Diego community. Brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union, bringing good things to San Diego for over 60 years. Learn more about what is good for you and good for all by visiting www.missionfed.com.